Welcome to week 31, and so we've spent the first 2 days of this week analyzing the poem, the famous poem, First They Came by Martin Niemöller, and who can remind us of the theme of the poem, okay? That it's important to speak up for other groups. Great. Can somebody try and use one of our vocab words that means to speak up for someone, to support them? And you say advocate, and that's great. So we've read this poem extensively that teaches us the importance of speaking up for other groups of people. Because the Holocaust didn't happen all at once. It happened over time. Different groups were taken, different groups were imprisoned, different groups were oppressed. Now, we're going to read today an allegory that basically that just means it's a story that represents that idea. And it's called Again and Again, actually. The allegory is called Terrible Things, an Allegory of the Holocaust by Eve Bunting. But before we get into the reading, I mentioned again and again a bit too early, because that's what we're looking for today. Sometimes we'll see authors use the same language over and over again. Why might they do that? Why would an author use repetition, bringing back the same idea more than once? Because it's important, says Lisbania. Yeah. Because it's the theme, very good. In Esperanza, when we read that story, what kept coming up over and over again? And it was the making of the blanket. Good. So we said that was the extended theme of the story. So when we read this, we're going to do this as a class today. And what we want to do is look for anything that happens over and over again in the story. Okay? Let's have someone read the directions. Go ahead. Fernando, he says, read the terrible things. As you read, underline and write AA next to words, phrases, images, or ideas that come up again and again. Answer the questions that follow. So, Terrible Things, an Allegory of the Holocaust by Eve Bunting. We read now, and we fast forward in this video to the first major question. So, all right, now we've just finished reading up to the end of page 6, and we see a question. Let's have someone read the question. Haley, go ahead. What keeps coming up again and again? We're going to give you 2 minutes, and you can work with your table. Write down as many things as you can think of that have come up again and again throughout the text. And your 2 minutes is up. What are some things that we see that keep coming up again and again? Yes, Yadiel. The terrible things keep coming. They do. They keep on coming back over and over again. Is anyone making a connection yet to the Holocaust? Who keeps coming for people in the Holocaust? The Nazis. Very good. We're going to really focus on that aspect of this text tomorrow, but right now just know that this is happening over and over again. So think about, what does that say about the Nazi regime? What else comes up over and over again? A group of animals is taken. Great. That happens to, first it was the birds. Who else is taken over and over again? Okay, you got the frogs, the fish, the porcupines, good, the squirrels, yes. And so each different group is taken. Does this remind you of the poem that we read yesterday? I think it should, and the day before that each group is being taken. And hopefully someone makes the connection then that just like in the poem, these animals are not speaking up for each other. They're not advocating on behalf of other animals. And so what's something else that comes up? Great. They do not question. They only rejoice that it was not them that the terrible things chose. And I think that's a natural human instinct, that For instance, if I came into the room and I said, I'm so angry at my students, I'm going to take one student and I'm going to punish them, and that student is David, well, I think that most of you would just immediately think, whew, thank goodness it wasn't me, man. And so in that moment, because you're so concerned with thinking of, oh, good, I can feel relief now that it wasn't me. What you're not thinking is, poor David, what did he do wrong? How is this fair? What about David? And so that's how we naturally think. Hitler knows that that's how we think, and he knows that he's going to get away with punishing different groups of people. Just like in this story, the terrible things know, if the frogs are worried about protecting the frogs, then he can attack the birds without recourse. And so then the process repeats over and over and over again. Good. Turn now to page 7, and let's continue with the reading. You're going to read this on your own and add to the list on the following page.